Hey, brother! Ben, in the world of Harry Potter, it is rare that Slytherins and Hufflepuffs share very much common ground. Maybe there was that time when they were all supporting Cedric as their favorite Hogwarts champion in the Triwizard Tournament? But that's every example I can think of in 7 books. They really feel like complete opposites. I mean, of all of the houses, Slytherin has turned out the most number of dark wizards, and Hufflepuff, on the other hand, has turned out the least, with 0. Well, unless you count that weird alternate timeline in The Cursed Child where Cedric was a Death Eater.
And I don't.
Me neither.
Hey, brother!
Hey, brother! Quirrell was the Ravenclaw who became a dark wizard before you type how Ravenclaw had 0 too, okay? Guys, look who it is! It's fellow YouTuber and Harry Potter Pixar theorist Seamus Gorman from Seamus Gorman. Glad you were able to, find your way here.
Well, yes, us Hufflepuffs are particularly good finders.
Yeah, it's no fun if you don't know I'm making fun of you. Never mind. So, what brings you here?
Well, I heard you talking about how our two houses don't have that much in common, except for making great YouTube channels about Harry Potter. But there is one unsolved mystery uniting Slytherins and Hufflepuffs since the Deathly Hallows ended.
Could you possibly be talking about the Cup and Locket and how somehow J.K. Rowling failed to tell us what powers their creators imbued into them?
Yes, it might not be such a big deal, except for the fact she's so specific about how the Sword of Gryffindor and Ravenclaw's diadem works, which just leaves the rest of us in the dark.
Agreed. So if you need a refresher, the way the Sword of Gryffindor works is that it will present itself to any worthy Gryffindor, typically via the Sorting Hat, in a time of need, often to just defend yourself.
Both Harry and Neville are able to draw the sword from the Sorting Hat, and Ron is able to retrieve the sword from the bottom of the pond in the Forest of Dean. And not only can the sword magically present itself to them, but it also can absorb powers that might make it stronger, like the basilisk venom, which is why Harry and friends can use it to destroy the Horcruxes.
The diadem of Ravenclaw is a little more straightforward. Basically, it just increases the intelligence of whoever's wearing it.
What is particularly important about these two objects for the sake of the rest of this video is that they take on the core values of the house of the creator.
For Gryffindor, it's bravery and courage. For Ravenclaw, it's intelligence. So would you agree that it stands to reason that the Cup and the Locket should represent the values of Hufflepuff and Slytherin?
Yes, and Hufflepuff stand for hardworking and inclusiveness, which means that, for the most part, the Cup should incorporate these values.
Right. And the other obvious correlation between Hufflepuff and the Cup is food. Helga Hufflepuff was responsible for many of the recipes still used in the Great Hall today. She organized the house elves into the kitchen so they would have a safe place to work. She was gifted with food charms, and the Hufflepuff common room is right next to the kitchens.
All we really know about the Cup is from Hepzibah Smith, who tells Tom Riddle that it has all sorts of powers, but she hasn't tested them yet.
So, any guesses as to what these extra magical powers might be?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think the one it might be most famous for is turning vinegar into wine.
Like Jesus turning water into wine?
Well, there's lots of Christian imagery in Harry Potter and ideas shared throughout the story, but even without Jesus, there's plenty of reason to suggest it.
Well, you do have my attention, good sir, but why vinegar specifically?
Well, the only time the word vinegar is ever mentioned in the Harry Potter books is when they're turning it into wine in the Order of the Phoenix during Charms class.
Okay, so I can see how you're connecting the food charms, but not how vinegar is specifically tied to the cup.
Getting to that, when J.K. Rowling originally wrote the Harry Potter books, she wanted there to be a chance for them to go to the Hufflepuff common room, like how they visit the Ravenclaw common room, the Slytherin common room, and the Gryffindor common room, but she realised there was never an opportunity to do so. But if you go on to Pottermore, you can read all about it and how to get into it.
So apparently to get into the common room, you have to rhythmically tap out Helga Hufflepuff's name on a specific barrel, and if you pick the wrong barrel or tap it out wrong, the barrel douses you with vinegar.
Yes, Helga was gifted with food charms, and the only example of vinegar being mentioned in the books is through Charms class, and they're in barrels right outside her common room. Plus, it's revealed in the Deathly Hallows that you can't just summon food from nothing because of Gamp's first of 5 laws about five principal exceptions to Gamp's law of transfigurational, 5 principal exceptions to Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration. But you can summon if you know where it is.
And the same law actually reveals that you can increase the quantity if you've already got some, and the barrels of vinegar must have that enchantment on them because they'd have to keep refilling to douse any new imposter trying to get into the Hufflepuff common room, and they would always be in the same place.
Exactly, and the cup would always know where there's this endless supply of vinegar from, and it gets better. The cup is made from gold,
which is the same as the dishware in the Great Hall, which summons food from the kitchens below, which was also Helga's responsibility.
And to cap it all off, in the Hufflepuff common room, there is a portrait of Helga Hufflepuff toasting her cup to the students.
And a toast is something that would bring people together and is commonly done with wine. Wow.
So, what about the locket?
Yes, Slytherins Locket, it's tricky to determine the powers of, because although we do see it in action a lot, it's difficult to tell what is Horcrux power and what is the original enchantment from Slytherin. Slytherin House, of course, values ambition and cunning, and Slytherin himself, more specifically, valued pure-bloodedness. That sounds right, which I think comes into play with the locket.
The thing that always confused me about the locket is that it makes things so much harder for Harry, Ron, and Hermione, who aren't able to cast a Patronus with it, but then Umbridge, who wasn't even able to clear a fake swamp in the Order of the Phoenix, is able to conjure one with it on.
Right, I think a lot of people think that because Umbridge is so evil that the piece of Voldemort's soul inside the locket allows her to, get extra powers, but what people forget is that she is not the only witch who wore the locket who got extra power.
Wait, do you mean Voldemort's mother, Merope Gaunt?
I do! Another one of the weirdly hard things to explain in Harry Potter is how Voldemort's mother learned magic after her brother and father were sent to Azkaban and were no longer oppressing her. We have suggested in videos before that maybe she made her way to Hogwarts, but she did also have the locket.
So you think the locket itself contained some of Slytherin's knowledge or gave her extra power?
Well, it is a locket, right? So the point of it is to conceal something inside. What if what he concealed inside was some of his own knowledge that only his heirs could access using Parselmouth?
He did use the same trick with the Chamber of Secrets, and we do know that the founders can put their knowledge into items, for example, the sorting hat.
I'm glad you brought up the Chamber of Secrets. We know Voldemort created the diary so that the Chamber of Secrets could be reopened by later generations after he discovered it on his own. And good for him, Voldemort's very clever and he happened to find it on his own, but don't you think Slytherin would have found a way to conceal the information and also pass it down? Wouldn't he want other generations to open it up? What if he concealed the information of how to open the Chamber of Secrets inside a family heirloom that could only be opened with the family gift, the same gift used to open the Chamber of Secrets?
And the Gaunts stop attending Hogwarts, so it makes sense that no one ever finds the Chamber of Secrets until Tom Riddle attends the school.
The Gaunt family does eventually stop attending the school, but it's revealed on Pottermore that the Chamber of Secrets was actually opened several times before Tom Riddle got there by the Gaunt family, who again was in possession of the locket, were heirs of Slytherin, and could speak Parselmouth.
But then, what about Umbridge? She couldn't speak to snakes. How is she getting this power?
Yeah, she definitely couldn't open it, so I think whatever knowledge was concealed inside, she wasn't getting access to. But she has such similar views as Salazar Slytherin, in terms of pure-bloodedness. I think just wearing it could be enhancing her power some, but again, it's hard to say. That could also just be the Horcrux at work.
If it was part of Slytherin's enchantment, it would help explain Merope's newfound power, and would also tie in really well with the diary and Ginny. If you remember, Ginny pours herself into the diary, and that's why it affects her so much. But Harry, Ron, and Hermione know that Slytherin's locket is a dangerous dark object, so probably try to avoid that, which means that maybe it's not the Horcrux affecting them, but Slytherin's original enchantments.
That is definitely possible, but I think it's also that could just be the Horcrux. It's a little less definitive.
I agree, but the info about the Chamber of Secrets...
Oh, that is definitely from the locket.
Definitely.
And there you go, guys. That is the secrets of Slytherins Locket and Hufflepuff's Cup revealed. Let us know down in the towel section below, what other powers do you think they could have?
These socks are amazing!
Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. As always, please leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Harry Potter action from us. Also, make sure you go check out Seamus's channel. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me on. Like, it's so weird seeing it from here rather than through the screen.
Yeah, well, we'll put a little badge on your chest. Seamus does Pixar and Harry Potter theories, kind of like us. If you like our stuff, you will probably like him as well. But otherwise, we'll see you next time. Ben, I'll see you in another life, brother.